Alright folks, welcome back to the Jimmy channel. So doing the routine maintenance on the Harley, getting ready for the riding season, and I couldn't help but to notice the air cleaner looking really ratty. There's the top side. So done a lot of research in the EPA's requirement for Harleys, making things be a little difficult. So gonna try the EBS mod where you get that exhaust coming out of here. Let me take this thing apart and okay, so I got the cover off. This is the Screaming Eagle. I think they call it the big breath breather. And we were talking about that oil filter. I'm sorry, air filter. You take a look at this thing. Actually, probably should be an oil filter. That's what it looks like. Things just got a tremendous amount of oil residue in the filter. There, like I say, here's the top side of the air filter. And so what this is all about is that if you see these portholes here, these breather bolts, which are solid on the outside, go into the head. That hot oily exhaust is being ported here, which of course is behind the air filter, with the idea that it goes back into the engine and gets burnt up, which a lot of discussion on the web about that, if that's so good for your pistons. I'll reserve that for somebody else's opinion, but my issue is just keeps crapping up my air filter. Of course, I'm going to clean the air filter. Went and researched and bought a new one, $50. Thanks a lot. So I'm gonna try to do a little mod here, and instead of this hot gassy air going back into the engine, I want to exhaust it and put it into what they call a catch can, which has a series of filters in it so it doesn't go back into the engine. So alright, so there's the cover off it, and as I'd mentioned, this is the heads. Has these breather bolts, see that, with a hole on the side. Focus in on that for you. See that hole? Solid there. So what's happening is the engine's running, that hot gassy deal is coming through that breather bolt, through that little hole, into the back side of this guy, which is ported through to that one I pointed there. Obviously sitting like this when you're running. So what I want to do is get that stuff out of there. So the plan, I'm going to replace these bolts with a more traditional breather bolt that goes all the way through, with the idea that when I have it in the head, coming through the housing, I guess I should show you that. Through the housing, if I get a tube on there, pour it on out, I can run it and get it to a catch can. So let me grab some other stuff and I'll show you my plan. Okay, so here's the plan. I've got the new breather bolts. I'm going to take some hose actually I had laying around. I use this paint stirrer just to kind of figure out about what size hole I need. Idea being, I'm going to pop a couple holes into this plate so I can take that hot oily air coming out of the head, put it to the back side of this, bring these two hoses together to a T, and connect a small piece of hose to this catch can. The one I got here, I got from DK Customs. They sell them in black, and this one's obviously billet aluminum. This has got like a 5-stage filter in it. The idea, you can unscrew it, and what's inside there catches all the oil and moisture, but it lets it vent out the top. You know, they recommend that you keep it upright wherever you're going to put it. I'm going to see if I can't plan on just letting it kind of dangle down here underneath that throttle body, something like that. So let me kind of figure out my hole position and put this thing together and see what happens. Thanks. Okay, folks, I nailed down where I was going to put them. Just a word of caution here. Drills through pretty easy. I got a couple pilot holes in there. You can see that's going to be my position. Just hit it with a smaller bit. I'm going to step it up, probably, you know, one more medium, and then looks like it's about a 3/8 diameter is what I'm looking for. Hit it with a punch to define the position first, and like I say, it's no big deal drilling through it. So let me just widen them and get to the final diameter. Okay, folks, all drilled up. Just a couple notes. I ended up stepping that drill bit up probably 3 or 4 different sizes. This housing's cast aluminum. Certainly didn't want to crack it, but it's really no problem. It's pretty soft. Just make sure you don't go too nuts. And then that's going to be the idea, is that we're going to go and nail down the size of these hoses once we get this back on there, and it's going to port through, you know, the back side like we were talking about. And I'm going to tie it together with that T. So let me go back up and start putting her together. Okay, folks, back up on the bike. So after putting it on, I realized it's probably going to be better for me to cross the hoses like that. The idea, I don't want them to crimp as we go through them. You know, that's where I bored that hole, going in the back side here, and the other one the other side. And obviously you have to cut these to length, with the idea that ultimately I'm going to put them to this T, tie them together, kind of tuck them up underneath, and then attach that catch can. So one thing to know as you're doing this, I'll probably go ahead and put a clamp on these guys so they don't fall off. That, or maybe even a twist tie will do it. You know, just a cable tie, and then just your filter. The idea being a filter sit right like so, and you know, it's going to be held in there, so it's got that's just the flex of those hoses a little bit. But I got plenty of room inside there to have those hoses fit, as you can see, no big deal. So let me go and just measure up those sizes that I need, get my T installed, clamp them up, and we'll be close to wrapping this one up. Okay, just about ready to wrap this thing up. So a couple notes here. You can see I did the cross routine, and I'm gonna, you know, clamp these to the new breather bolts like you see there. Down underneath, that's kind of how it looks, real neat. Deliberately got it sitting so it's, you know, it's not touching anything, with the idea that, you know, you have to clean out the stuff in this now and again. It'll just be a matter of me pulling it out a little bit. This thing spins right off of here, and there's a series of filters in there. I can just dump this stuff out and put it back on. So when you drill this thing out, make sure you clean it of any filings. You don't want any of that stuff getting back up in your engine. I'm going to replace that throttle body gasket, you know, with a brand new one. I cleaned it all up on the back side. I just got to pull that off. And make sure you Loctite everything. The breather bolts, the housing bolts. I put a little bit on the ones that are going to ultimately hold the filter as well. You know, that's going to end up going on like so. And there's a center bolt that goes in there. And then ultimately I just have this cover that kind of sits up over it. So I'll button it all up with the new gasket and the Loctite, and come back one more time and whoops, see how it goes. So I want to make one more mention of something. You know, on this particular breather here, you know, I don't have to do anything about closing off those portholes. You know, reason being, these new breather bolts I have, as I showed you earlier. You know, they go right through to the end. So, you know, when those things sit there, this has already got a gasket on it, right? So you see this gasket here. This is going to seal to the head. So any air flowing is not going to get into that breather. And the fact that I'll be Loctiting these, none of that oily gas is going to get to those portholes. Certain breathers I saw when doing the research show that you want to go ahead and plug these up, you know, with a little silicone or something, but in my case, no need. So just want to make mention of that. Okay, motorcycle fans, so there she blows, all buttoned up. Put a new filter on there. It's a brand new K&N, like I said, about 50 bucks. So total on the mod, you're probably in about 110 bucks. The biggest hit being that catch can at about, I think I got that for about 70 bucks, including shipping. You got to buy some clamps, the T. Of course, I put a new filter in there just because I'm trying to eliminate that contamination problem. But, you know, pretty clean. I mean, it looks good. Here, I'll fire it up for us real quick.